In this tutorial, we will be learning some very basic math functions that you can perform in MATLAB, such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and others. Based on the knowledge we gained in previous lectures, we know that every variable in MATLAB is treated in the form of a matrix. So let us define a matrix. So let's say we have a 2 cross 3 matrix, and then we define another matrix which is of the same size as that of matrix A. So in order to perform the subtraction operation, you need to mention A minus B, and it will do the matrix subtraction operation. That is, the corresponding entries will be subtracted from each other. That is, 1 minus 5 is minus 4, 2 minus 8 is minus 6, and so on. Similarly, you can perform the matrix multiplication operation. In order to perform the multiplication operation, there is a restriction, and that is the columns of the first matrix that is taking part in the multiplication should match the rows of the second matrix that is taking part in the multiplication. So in this case, A cross B will give you an error. And that is because the dimensions are not fulfilling the matrix multiplication requirement. In order to accomplish the multiplication, we take transpose of the second matrix. Taking the transpose of a matrix is very simple, and we can do it by adding this sign, that is single quote, along with the matrix B. This sign is the one which is close to the enter button on the keyboard, and on many keyboards you will find double quotes on the very same button. So this is going to perform the matrix transpose operation. Now we have two matrices whose dimensions satisfy the matrix multiplication requirement, and we can proceed with the multiplication operation. That is, the columns in A matches the rows in matrix B. We are now ready to perform the operation, and this is the result of performing the matrix multiplication operation. There is also a variant of the basic multiplication operation, that is the element by element multiplication operation. So if you don't want to have a matrix multiplication, rather you want an element by element multiplication of the matrices, that is, you want the corresponding elements to be multiplied to each other. So let's say we want to multiply each and every element of the matrix A to itself. This is the correct syntax, and this is the corresponding answer. For element by element multiplication, we do not have the restriction of matrix multiplication. Rather, we just need the two matrices to be of the same size. If we take the transpose of the matrix B, then we can also perform A dot steric B, also because they have the same sizes now. So in this case, it is returning the results of element by element multiplication. So this element is multiplied by this element, so we have the corresponding result over here. In the same way, if we look at the matrix A, right, so this 9 was being multiplied by the corresponding element here, which is 8. So 9 into 8 is 72, which is the corresponding answer. Similarly, this 8 was being multiplied by 2. That's how you can do the element by element multiplication of matrices. Matrix addition operation can also be performed in a very similar way. This will aid the corresponding elements of the two matrices. Let us display again the two matrices that were part of the addition operation. This was matrix B and this was matrix A. So now we can clearly see that the corresponding elements are being added to each other in the resultant matrix. If the variables that are taking part are only of size 1 cross 1, means they only contain one value each, so in that case all these operations are still valid and can be done in the very similar and same way as we performed it with variables that corresponds to matrices of bigger sizes. So we can perform A minus B and A plus B and A multiplied by B. Finally, let's learn how to take the power of a certain variable. For example, I want to compute the square of A. This is the designated sign for taking power in MATLAB. this will compute the square of the variable a. So it was having an initial value of 9, and a cross a we know is 81. So that is the corresponding result over here. The power can also be a fraction number, it can be a whole number, or it can be a number in this form as well. In this case, it will first simplify the power of a and then compute the power operation. So if we say 1.5 power of a, it gives the same answer. We can also apply the power operation on a matrix. So when we apply this onto a matrix, such as this matrix, that is we define then, for instance, if we take square of a, that is the second power of a, then it will result in matrix multiplication. Since in this case the condition of matrix multiplication is not met, that is the columns of a are not equal to the rows of a, therefore it gives out an error message. This means that the matrix for which we need to compute the power must be a square matrix where the columns are equal to the rows. So let's make the a square matrix, and now we can perform the square operation. So a square in this case is computed based on a multiplied by a, that is matrix multiplication. If we are not interested in computing the power based on matrix multiplication, but rather we are interested in taking the power of individual elements, so to do that we just need to put a dot over here, and it will compute the element by element power of the matrix. And we can see and confirm the results. So if you put a dot, it is going to compute the matrix multiplication operation, and if you don't put a dot, then it is going to compute the power of individual elements. So that was it for this particular segment. In the upcoming tutorial, we are going to cover more interesting math operations. Do come back to cover that, and until then, enjoy MATLAB!